Hello, and welcome to another episode of the A Ball and All podcast. My name is Mpho, and I am your host of the Ball and All podcast. It's a passion project of mine. I talk all things happening in the basketball world, NBA, WNBA, Basketball Africa League. We've completed the Basketball Africa League season for the second season in a row. We do a daily recap, and now we're into the NBA finals. And obviously, we know game one, the Celtics won that. They stole a game from the Warriors, and the Warriors didn't play too badly. They just got outbeaten by a team that had a massive run, and it's a game of runs. The Celtics had a 48-18 run in game one, and then today it was the other side. We were going to get a response from the Golden State Warriors, and we did. We got a massive response from the Golden State Warriors and came in the form of another third quarter blitzkrieg. It was similar to game one. It was actually quite interesting because remember in game one, I was speaking about how it was opposite. The Celtics were the team that normally starts off really well. In game one, it was the Warriors who started off really well, and the Celtics clawed their way back with some better end of quarter play, which is what they're not used to. They were better with the turnover battle, which you would have expected that to fall on them than actually the Warriors. The Warriors also, but then in the second half, it turned back to their normal selves, and this game felt like then like all the teams were in their normal selves. The Celtics started off well. I think they went 6 of 6 or 5 of 5 in the first five shots of the game. They just were going crazy. Then they went 0 of 7. And that's when Golden State Warriors were clawing back. But they still had a 7-point lead midway through the first quarter. That lead was brought down to about one by the end of the first quarter. And then we went over. Actually, I think the Warriors had the lead after the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the Warriors had a 1-point lead, even though they weren't shooting that well. Second quarter, Celtics went on a run. Warriors clawed their way back, and we had a 2-point game at halftime, similar to the first game. This one was a little bit different though, because it was the same as the first game because the Warriors then in the third quarter went on a massive run that coincided with a 43-14 point differential between them and the Celtics that ended the first half and went into the beginning of the fourth quarter. In that third quarter, Steph scored 14 points. He hit 5 threes, and the Celtics in that third quarter were 4 for 15 from the field. And they had 5 turnovers that went into 11 points, and that's essentially how this game ended. Then the fourth quarter was essentially garbage time. The moment they got to a 19-point lead, and yeah, what was different from game one to game two? Firstly, the level of physicality from the Warriors. Draymond Green set the tone. First play of the game, essentially when the Celtics were coming down the court, he had Al Horford coming out of a screen with the ball, and they locked together. And you could see, like, okay, today's the day that he's now feeling like, okay, this is the tone we're setting. Gary Payton Jr. helped him a lot from that perspective, as well as Andrew Wiggins. Their matchups were much better this time. They locked in on Jason Tatum. They locked in on Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was Draymond Green. Jason Tatum was Andrew Wiggins because Tatum was shooting easily over guys shorter than him, but he struggled with Andrew Wiggins. Tatum wasn't shooting that well, and that was the other side. But to complete this physicality thing, got to a point where Draymond got a tech. And normally in the NBA, especially in the playoffs, once you get a tech, you have to like literally punch a guy for you to get a second tech to be ejected. And that's what Draymond was playing on in that game, was putting his head under people. That got him a tech. But he was having words. There was a point where him and Jaylen Brown got into a tussle. And the question was whether Draymond deserved to get a second technical, because in the normal course of the season, that type of a play would have gotten a double tech between the two of them. And it didn't happen. Zach Zarba just held his whistle, which I think was great because you don't want a game to fall. I know the Celtics fans would be like, no, but rules are rules. But also there's a little bit of you just have to be sensible when applying the rules, especially in such a high stakes game. The other thing and that was it. And I think that set the tone defensively because in the second, in the first half, the Celtics were still finding it very easy to drive into the paint. That was very surprising, actually. I was like, okay, that's one thing you kind of need to figure out. But in the second quarter, in the third quarter, they made it very hard. The Celtics really struggled to get to the basket, which is their go-to play when they can't do anything. And that was just a testament to the lockdown defense that they had. Gary Payton the second creating a lot of turnovers. But the other thing about the Celtics, and this is where the second thing is, they weren't protecting the ball. They were very careless. They've been careless all season, and to a certain extent, it's funny that they got to this point not being punished by a team, but now they were punished by the best defensive team in the playoffs. They, as I spoke, 5 turnovers turned into 11 points. The turnover battle, 18 turnovers to 12, so it was a 6 turnover differential. The Celtics only managed to get, I think, 15 points off of turnovers, whereas the Warriors got 33 points of turnovers. Firstly, that's over two. That's over 2 points per turnover, right? That's unbelievable. From the Warriors to take advantage of that. There were lots more steals, and the Celtics were just very. It felt careless, but it was also a function of the little bit more physical defense that they were facing. The one key thing, and obviously you look at the stats, Al Horford, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Marcus Smart all went cold. They got 2 points from three of their starters. In the first game, four of their five starters, the Celtics, scored double digits. In this game, only two. Jason Tatum came back, 28 points. That was really nice. Jaylen Brown, 17 points. A lot of that scoring happened in the first half. They went cold once they came out of the break, something that they're going to need to fix. The other thing is you need to find an answer for Steph. You cannot allow Steph out of screens for you to play drop D. You need to switch. You need to follow. You either need the man marking Steph to break through the screen and try and fight over it and try and get there. It's going to give Steph a little bit of space. He's going to shoot that shot, or but that's still a contested shot. Or you get the man to switch on Steph. The entire play is bigger. So if you put, like they did in game one, Peyton Pritchard or Marcus Smart on Steph, you know that whoever switches onto Steph is a bigger player. All you need to do is not do what Daniel Tice did, and I hope the Celtics don't play Daniel Tice again, because that's a problem in itself, is go up. Don't hedge back. Don't drop back. You have to follow the ball. You have to contest. You have to make it hard. He's going to make some, but most importantly, they have to be contested. And that's what the Celtics need to do this time. They're going to have to come back out on the parquet floor in game 3 at home on Wednesday, and they're going to have to try and dominate this team defensively, make it very hard. They're making it very hard for them to get to the basket. Tick number 1. Now you need to make it very hard for them to let the ball go and to run around. You're going to have to work. They looked a little tired. Robert Williams didn't look that great. I hope he can get some rest towards the back end, because they really do need him. Without him, it feels as though you can attack them and can attack the Celtics, and they're going to need him there. On the other end, for the Warriors, you need to keep this efficiency. The big worry for me is Clay. Clay wasn't shooting well, but not too. It's a big worry, but I'm like, okay, that's fine, because Jordan Poole now is stepping up. He scored 17 points. You've really added energy off the bench with Gary Payton the second. It's like a 1-2 punch with those two coming in. Andre Iguodala's out, and I think it's a blessing for them. I think he was a little bit slower than you expect. But Gary Payton, really good defender at the point of attack. He really made it hard for the Celtics to score, made it hard for whoever he was guarding, and that's what it is. Will Marcus Smart, Peyton Pritchard, Derek White come back at the Garden? Possibly. It is their home court. They do shoot better at home than away, but it's a lot. This game 3 is actually more important. This game 3 feels like it's a game 5, because I feel as if the Celtics win game 3, Celtics need to win game 3 to prevent the Warriors from being the front runners. When the Warriors go ahead in a series, it's hard to claw them back. As I know, there's a man from Akron who did. The Cleveland Cavaliers did claw them back from 3-1 down, but it's really hard, especially against this young Celtics team, to do that. They looked a little bit more like the team we expected in game 1, the team that befuzzled by the occasion and everything else, but they still try to keep that. They need to keep that defensive discipline for longer periods. You cannot let down. And that's what the Warriors are teaching them. If you do let down, they'll punish you, and that's what they are. The Warriors just need to be ready. They need to get Andrew Wiggins on the ball a little bit more, especially offensive. They need to be driving in. Wiggins is so important. He needs to be guarding the ball handler as many times. Not Marcus Smart, but Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum. Or mostly Jason Tatum. He needs to make it half of Jason Tatum. He needs to lock him down like he locked down Luka. Draymond's needs to do he's doing a good job on thingy, but the one thing he did was get into the Celtics' head, and that was really important. And if they keep on doing that, they're going to win more of these games than they can. And especially when you get a guy who starts the second half just like he's on fire in Steph Curry, it's going to be quite key. But obviously, it's not his home rims anymore. They're going on the road. Let's see how that's going to travel. Defense travels well. Celtics had showed that in game one. Can the Warriors defense travel on the road? We shall see. Can the offense follow them on the road? We shall see. A really great one coming up. So please do enjoy that second the game. Enjoy game three. I'll be back after game three with a recap from myself, Mpho Mutlani. Please do follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mpho Moriki, and also subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please have a great day and a great couple of days until we see again on game three. It's going to be a massive, massive game at the TD Garden. They haven't had a finals game in over 12 years, so it's going to be insane. And so, outside of that, have a great day. Goodbye, good night, and lesale. Kakahiso.